Today I'm talking to Kelvin Mackenzie, former editor of The Sun newspaper and columnist. He's spoken out against the military intervention in Libya, saying that Libya is not worth an ounce of British blood. Kelvin Mackenzie, that's a very strong position to take. I mean, the government reckons that airstrikes prevented a massacre in Benghazi. Surely that's worth a few British bombs and sorties.
Well, first of all, we don't know whether there was going to be a massacre at Benghazi. This was the PR, this was the government's push, this was Cameron's personal spin. In the end of the day, though, this is Libyans fighting Libyans. And who are we to say who should be running their country? After all, when I last looked, I didn't notice any of the Libyans interfere when the Cavaliers and the Roundheads took place in our revolution, or there, as far as I could see, there was nobody from Tripoli wandering around in the French Revolution. This is a revolution quite normal. The other side have got guns. Mysteriously, they seem to have rocket-propelled grenades. They seem to have anti-aircraft fire ability. These are not people sitting there with a spud gun leaning over a fence saying you're dead. They're fairly sophisticated. And if you take the other aspect is that the rebels themselves, who I wish well, although I feel very unsure about what our relationship with Libya is going to be at the end of all this. We have Al-Qaeda wandering around. How do we know that at the end of the day that they don't end up running the damn country? We don't know anything about this. There is a justification for us doing much more than no-fly zones. There is a justification when they blew up a passenger airline over Lockerbie, killing our people on the ground and killing people from America. There was a justification to do what I suspect Russia might have done under the same circumstances, which have said, right, we're coming in, we're taking you out, we're bombing the hell out of the place, and then there will be a change of regime. And that would have been more justifiable than this.
But Libyan rebels did ask us to intervene. They asked NATO to intervene. Do we not therefore have a duty to go in and help them out?
No, we don't. What duty do we owe to a side in a revolution who is trying to grab power to decide what the outcome of that war is going to be? I say we have no duty. Why are we out there wandering around the desert? There was a justification, it was Lockerbie. There's no justification. I prefer the Russian position, I prefer the Chinese position, I prefer the German position, all of which is the same is, we wish you well and we're not firing any guns and we're not sending in any planes.
What now then? Is your solution that we pull out and leave the Libyans to what could essentially be a bloody civil war?
It is a bloody civil war. That's what happens in civil wars. There isn't the point, the reason that they have the word war involved in civil war is it's not called civil negotiation. It is a fight. And in the end, I expect the rebels may well win, but they don't need to win risking our blood and our money.
But what if, as is looking increasingly likely, Gaddafi in fact wins? He does outgun the rebels at the moment. What if, now that the international community has irreparably fallen out with him, he actually stays in power in Libya?
Well, first of all, I don't care about the international community, and secondly, they don't like him. But there's lots of people they don't like. I mean, while they're at it, why don't they go in, while you're at Libya, just go down the road a bit to the Congo, where literally 800,000 people have been wiped out. Why haven't we gone there? Why don't we go and protect the minority tribe in Zimbabwe while we're at it? There's a lot of injustice in the world. There may be injustice even in this country, right? Who knows? But the issue is that there is nothing that can be done. The international community is a big fat raspberry. And what happens to the politicians is that they look round at themselves, they look at their ratings in the polls and they say, do you know what? I'm not doing very well here. The people who vote for me think I'm an idiot. They're going to chuck me out. I'll tell you what I'll do. Why don't I wander around North Africa, wander around the Middle East? Why don't we go into Saudi Arabia, where they've banned marches and the king has announced there will be severe repercussion for demonstrations, and in the east they started firing at everybody. Why don't we go into the Yemen? Why don't we go in everywhere?
Well, what's your answer to all those questions? Why don't we go into Yemen? Why don't we go into Syria?
Because it's nothing to do with us. We have neither the power, the firepower, nor the will, nor, as we learned from Iraq, where 180 of our good people died and probably 40 or 50 billion quid went out of our coffers, which we could possibly even fill our potholes up with today, right? It has nothing to do with us. Things take time.
And yet we have still gone into Libya, which by your logic also has nothing to do with us. Is it because we've got to be in our bonnet about Gaddafi?
Do you know what it is? We're a warrior nation trying to relive old days of the empire, with Cameron keep on shouting out, where have all the pink bits gone? You know, strolling around the Middle East, you know, without a sat-nav, without an exit plan. We know how to go into these places. We have no idea how to get out.
UK institutions played a big role in rehabilitating the Gaddafi regime not so long ago, and so therefore they got a lighter spin in the global media. Now that the media has turned on him again, how important is it for legitimising an intervention like this and indeed regime change?
Well, I think we should divide it up into 2 points. First of all, the government, whoever they are, and it's been going on now for 40 odd years, we have been licking Gaddafi's backside now for 4 decades. Whether we supply arms to them or we embrace them like that disgusting piece of work, Blair. But actually, these people don't, you know, at the same time, politicians move either way. So one time we're kissing Gaddafi's backside, and now we're trying to kick it. It's ridiculous. So the media do have a role. And the role of the media is to expose that we are trading with dictators. Now, so what does the government say? They say we have to deal with the reality, the political reality. We have to trade with these people. And then somebody wakes up. I said, I'll tell you what, instead of trading with them, let's bomb on them instead, right? It is pathetic, absolutely pathetic. But at the same time, every so often, the government changes power. And when the government changes power, their view changes power. So there's no consistency. To my mind, actually, the media have been pretty good. They've been pretty good. The problem we face now is we're now at war with people. And we don't want... So we actually have to support our troops. We don't have to support idiots like Cameron, right? We've got nothing else to do. We can't decide whether he should be wandering around a hospital in the UK or should be wandering around the battlefields of the Middle East. But we do have to support our troops. So the media gets caught in a difficult position. Its troops are its readers and are the centre of our world. The government, they're idiots, and the Libyan regime are disgusting. So the media gets caught in a very difficult area.
You were the most notorious editor of the UK's most notorious tabloid.
It's very kind of you to put it like that.
Do you accept that it was tabloid culture, essentially, that made wars like this easier to sell and popularise with the British public?
I accept the first bit, that I'm notorious, and I accept that the Sun did spectacularly under my excellent editorship. I think, though, that they didn't actually make any difference to a government policy. I mean, you know, the issue about the media is it's like the sea. It's always with us. You've simply got to put up with it if you're a policy maker. And all right, there will be a lot of aggravation about Libya now. I mean, it started off all right. We thought we were going to blow them all out of the water and we'd all be home for having a cup of tea at the Ritz by 4:30. Well, here we are damn near a month later and the whole thing is still going on. So the nightmare is still to be faced, in my view. But I don't think it's fair to blame the media for it. I mean, I'm personally massively hostile to the Libyan infraction, mainly because I saw what happened in Iraq. These things take peculiar turns which you can't really work out intellectually nor guess. Nevertheless, you know, I'm very much in favour of our soldiers, and so you get torn. But the media is stronger. I think you're right about that bit. The media is stronger because of what happened in Iraq. I mean, the trouble was that 1 million people marched against the Iraq war. Blair was not telling his cabinet anything. It's all been revealed now because he was scared they were going to leak. So basically, they were deciding it as though you and I were having a nice chat. It's another glass of Sauvignon Blanc, dear. He said, oh yes, what do you think giving the old fuzzy wuzzies a bit of a go? Oh yes, good idea, Tom. And then they went in, right? So the 1 million were ignored.
People say that the government, various governments, learnt nothing from Iraq and Afghanistan. But do you think what, in fact, Whitehall learnt was how to sell another military intervention?
No, absolutely. The issue is quite clear. We didn't want Iraq. It was lumbered on us by a vainglorious Prime Minister. Cameron is now wandering around in the desert of Tobruk trying to work out how to get out. He will look an idiot at the end of all this. But the underlying issue is with Libya, there have been no deaths on our side. Just wait if a helicopter crashed and God forbid we lose 10 people, or by the way, Al-Qaeda used those heat-seeking missiles which you can basically just walk in and take according to today's papers. If that happened, we started being blown out of the sky, don't even think about it. So the issue is we haven't dropped any blood. Yeah, we've dropped tens of millions of pounds, which we haven't got, but not one single one of our people has died. When that happens, the game and the PR game will change.
Politically, what does someone like David Cameron gain from waging a war in Africa?
I have no idea what Cameron saw, what was in it for him or for our country. He is, unfortunately, a professional bleeding heart. And so he is one of those guys who will rush around endlessly. He's a total political animal, by the way. Rush around endlessly saying something must be done. The answer is something mustn't be done. It's like when you're about to send off a really stinking email on the night before to your boss, right? Don't send that email. Go to bed, wake up in the morning, reread it and decide whether it was a good idea or not. Cameron hasn't got that ability. Basically, I think he's gone mad. But he's gone mad very early. He's only been in power a year. How balmy is he going to be if he lasts as long as Blair? Blair was certifiable at the end of it all, right? But my suspicion is that the pressure has just driven him balmy.
Kelvin MacKenzie, thank you very much.